Salutations to the Dark Love Stories channel's viewers. For the first time with my mother, ladies and gentlemen, we will be enjoying a very fascinating story today. I hope you find some time to unwind after reading the story. Remember to support the Dark Love Stories channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let's now examine this story's primary theme. Like that one winter night, time went by. With wine and food in our hands, my father and I sat in front of the little stove. My father stared at me while he drank and said, "Dama, I have something to tell you." When my father said that, I nodded my head and waited for him to continue. If my father brought me a mother now, I would have closed my eyes and gone out to supper before he could finish speaking. My father's voice and the sound of a deep breath were gone when I entered the room. As the door shut, I sobbed once more. I haven't heard my mother's voice in 6 years. Perhaps the word mother has long since been forgotten in my dictionary. I was crying uncontrollably. My father was shouting outside the door all of a sudden. "I'm aware that you've been depressed for 6 years, Dama. I am unable to provide you with the ideal family. I'm to blame. I apologize, but I hope you can understand. You have my undying love. You're an adult now. I wish for you to have the ideal family. I hope you get what I'm saying." My father then departed as well. My tears continued to fall as I sat there. I adore my dad as well. Is there a mother now, though? What am I going to do? I peered in the window's mirror. The night was only a dark shade of black outside. I had a really long night tonight. The tears ceased to fall. I sat silently. Unconsciously, I glanced outside, as though seeking some light in the never-ending darkness. I'm not sure how long it will take to sit like that. I simply fell asleep until my eyes were heavy. I woke up later than 8 in the morning the following day. Going to school was too late. I was no longer concerned. I used the restroom to take care of my personal hygiene. The phone rang just as I was ready to leave for home. I glanced at the screen. Xian was the one. "You know, if you don't believe me, switch off the phone," I said. After throwing the phone from the bed, I lay down. "Come down and eat first, Nom." Outside, my father's voice echoed. I opened the door and sat up. I noticed a bowl of smoked pork porridge in my father's hand. I pulled the door open. "Hey, you must be exhausted, so you make your favorite porridge," my father said with a smile. "After eating, you go to sleep. You'll be all right and able to attend school tomorrow." "Don't worry," my father told the teacher over the phone this morning. My father grinned as I reached up to grab the bowl of porridge. I gave my dad a thank you. "Go to work, Dad." "Hey, I have a visitor today. So I'm heading home. Later, I'll come down to your house." When he was done speaking, Dad gave me a hopeful look. I nodded while meeting his eyes. "Come on down to the house, Dad." I shut the door and took a deep breath. I moved to the desk, set down the porridge bowl, and began to eat. It still tasted good, smelled good, and was infused with love. But why am I feeling so resentful? I feel as though I'm choking. My age is 18, why do you cry like a kid sometimes? I ate the bowl of porridge after feeling humiliated. After getting up, I descended to the house. I made my way to the stairs. In the living room, I heard a conversation. "Honey, take a seat here." "I apologize, Nam is exhausted. So I am unable to come get you today." "Don't worry, then." The voice of my father echoed softly. "There's a bit of a problem," he said. "It's all right." "What is the matter with him?" "Allow the doctor to leave if he is ill. He must not be too frail." The voice of the woman echoed. I was a little taken aback by how youthful she sounded. She must have been close to 30 years old. I crept down because I was a little curious. Slowly, the picture emerged. I was unable to see. I glanced at her right away. A woman appeared in front of my eyes. She had a radiant face. She had large, dazzling eyes. Her lips were red and her nose was high. She was giving my dad a smile. The woman raised her head. Her gaze was fixed on one another. those eyes seemed to draw me in. I was surprised by the woman's soft smile. My face was swollen and red. I walked to the kitchen and bowed my head. I turned to head upstairs after setting the bowl in the pot. My father's voice came ringing, "Son, return, Nom." I got to my feet and looked at my dad. "This is Mrs. Luan," my father said as he got up and walked back to me. "She works under my father." After telling me this, my father turned to Mrs. Luan and said, "This is Nom, your son, whom you told her." When she finished speaking, Mrs. Luan gave me a smile. Nom proved to be very attractive. More attractive than my father had claimed. She gave a small smile. My face was hot once more when I saw her smile. My heart, however, beat quickly. "It's peculiar," I was taken aback. I lowered my head. I bowed my head and hurried to the door. After saying that, I rushed to the door and took a deep breath. My heart continues to beat rapidly. I have no idea what is wrong with me. I had not seen a woman so beautiful in 18 years, and I was trembling. I visited the school. I lowered my back. I was thinking a lot about how I felt. I considered it. I had a good night's sleep. I was awakened by a knock on the door. I was still prone to talking aloud. Dad entered. I pulled the door open. Still, I closed my eyes and turned around. I assumed it was my dad. As a result, I spoke in a very submissive manner. I was exhausted. "For what reason did you call me?" "Not just yet." After washing my face, I went to eat. Downstairs, my dad was waiting. I said it quietly. I turned around after opening my eyes. Mrs. Lone was there. She continued to have such a lovely smile. She was staring at me while she sat by the forest. I paused once more. The exciting smile in front of my face pulled that lovely smile back, making me hesitate. Mrs. Lone was grinning as she looked at me. I asked her after turning around. "What are you doing here, Mrs. Ong?" I was hot, as if I had a high fever, and I was very confused at the time, so my voice was hoarse. I was called down to eat by her. I was already done eating. Mrs. Lone spoke in a raspy voice. I remained quiet for a long time. She repeated herself. "The boys' room is really neat, I see. It might even be more organized than your room." Mrs. Lone got to her feet and returned to her room. She had a very unexpected voice. I pivoted and gazed at Mrs. Lone. She had a small waist and a thin shoulder. I had feelings for a woman for the first time in 18 years. To get rid of that sensation, I shook my head. I got up right away and spoke. "Let's head downstairs, please, so your father can wait." I was done talking. I left right away and headed to the kitchen downstairs. My father was seated on the phone tray, as I could see. I put down the phone when I heard my father's footsteps. When I turned around, Mrs. Lone and I were together. My dad said with a smile, "Let's hurry to the tray, please. The food is chilly." "Yes," I said, returning to my seat. Mrs. Lone took a seat beside my dad and began to eat. "Go to the kitchen and prepare some of your favorite meals, Mrs. Lone. Check to see if it works." I got a piece of sweet and sour pork from my dad. I put a piece of pork on it and thanked my dad. Mrs. Lone's craftsmanship is excellent, I must say. My mother's cooking doesn't make me feel any better. I put the bowl down after eating a piece of meat, took a moment to look at my father and Mrs. Lone, and then I talked. "Can I ask you some questions, Dad?" With a serious expression, I asked my father. After listening, my dad set the bowl aside. Mrs. Lone gave me a rather anxious look as well. However, my father turned to smile at me after gently placing his hand on Mrs. Treng's to eat. I inquired because I witnessed the love between my father and Mrs. Lone. I was also lighter than part in my heart. "Do you truly want to wed her, Dad?" My father was a little perplexed by my question. After glancing at me, Mrs. Lone turned to face my father. My dad nodded as he gave me a look. "I'm hoping you'll accept Mrs. Lone, Dad." With his eyes fixed on me, my father grasped Mrs. Lone's hand. I can tell how much her father adores her just by looking into those eyes. I am aware that you have been depressed for the last 6 years, Dad. Mom's departure created a significant void in this family. In my dreams, I would hope that my father would bring me a caring mother and take care of me someday. However, my perspective has changed, I said, taking a deep breath while gazing out the window, then grinned as I turned to face my father and Mrs. Lone. I'm an adult. I am also aware that I do not provide my father with the same level of care as Mrs. Stepmom. The nestling will also grow up and take to the skies on its own. My father has been overly protective of me for a number of years. I therefore hope that Mrs. Lone will continue to love and care for my father until the end of his days. Right now, that is what makes me the happiest. I smile at you and Mrs. Lone, Dad. Probably the rarest thing that has happened in the last 6 years is smiling. I'm really happy now. I'm glad I found a father who is kind and considerate. My father was actually taken aback by what I said, his eyes glowed. He had been enthusiastic for a while when he said, I know you have made me miserable over the past few months. You are fortunate to have me, even though a man can lose everything. Despite losing everything, my mother saved me that year due to my stubbornness. I have a lot of regrets from previous years. I wanted to give up sometimes, but you are the only thing that makes me happy. Part of the reason I can't give up is that it's my dream. I appreciate your understanding. I gave my father a tender glance as he finished. He grinned as though he had endured a lot over the previous few years and was now ready to begin a new, more contented life. After wiping away her tears, Mrs. Lone grinned. All right, let's stop discussing sadness. Everyone eats. The food is chilly. She topped my bowl with a piece of stir-fried ribs that were sweet and sour. I thanked them and carried on eating. Happily, the meal went by. In order to return home, Mrs. Lone stayed until the afternoon. She made sure to remind me before she left that I needed to look after my health and do well in my studies so that my father could go to work with confidence. When she was done, Mrs. Lone turned away and waved to me. Although your car is even more costly than my father's, I am aware that you drive your own vehicle. I turned to face my father because I was a little upset, but my eyes saw his smile, so I went inside and said something, and he went back inside and sat motionless. Mrs. Lone is not an ordinary employee, my father said, swallowing a small amount of tea. The chairman of the organization where my father works is her father's daughter. It sounded reasonable, and my father laughed. And I glanced at my dad to make sure he was telling the truth. Is it accurate? I was like my father. This year, Mrs. Lone turns 29. She has only been working for the company for a year and has only been back in the country for 3 years. She started out as a lower-level employee of my father. Despite her awkwardness, she was very creative and greatly aided my father in his work. As a result, my father was able to maintain his role as director of business. I was astounded to hear this and appeared to comprehend. My dad chuckled and went on to tell. Mrs. Lone helped my father complete a significant project at that time. That day, my father set up a business room for eating and drinking. Not only did she not blame my father for telling her that he had feelings for her, but she also chose not to tell him. That was sufficient for the kids to hear. My dad reddened. He glanced at me and saw the naive face of my father. Yes, I didn't ask, but my father told it himself. That's all, though, my dad kept telling. With a small smile, I pleaded with my father to go on. After a brief pause and a cup of tea, my father went on. She laughed as she turned to face my father at that moment. My dad chuckled timidly. I remained silent until the end of the meal because I was at a loss for words. A week after that meal, Mrs. Lone invited my father to join her for dinner. She explained to my father that they understood each other, but why? My dad chuckled timidly. My father looked like a first love at this point. I felt very depressed. Dad, nobody in the company noticed Mrs. Lone because she is so gorgeous. My father told me it was wrong when I asked. Do you know how to say the word of the second degree? My father asked, glancing at me. The other is ignorant. Come with me to my dad's room. He needs to do something. After putting on his shoes and hat, my father hurried outside. I am aware that my dad is too shy to go out. It doesn't seem like much time has passed since my father's 50th birthday this year. A lot of people stare at my dad, who I assume is around 40 years old. My dad is more than 170 centimeters tall. He appears young because of his strong physique. I gave a shy smile. When an adult feels shy, they may get up and go upstairs. In my heart, however, I continued to display Mrs. Lone's picture. I tried shaking my head to get rid of the image. But oddly, the smile persisted in my thoughts. In any case, I also came to terms with the fact that I was seated next to a mother. Perhaps the next time will be quite unexpected. After having a mental nap, I went to my room and lay down on the bed to doze off. It was 8 o'clock in the evening when I woke up and checked the time. I felt lightheaded, so I sighed after sleeping a lot. I got up, went to the closet, undressed, and swooped into the restroom. 2 women and a middle-aged man were eating in a different room. "Lone, have you counted yet?" the middle-aged man asked, glancing down at the young woman. When the man asked, Mrs. Lone gave him a soft smile and said, "Dad, how many times must I respond to you? I've given it some thought. I also adore him and his son." Mrs. Lone responded to the middle-aged man with a smile. The middle-aged man inhaled deeply and said, "Lone, you are all that your parents have." His eyes were full of love. Parents aren't tough, they won't make you make a decision. Your parents will accept you as long as you love them. This man is decent, diligent, and compassionate, but I fear his son will cause you trouble. According to what I've heard, his 18-year-old son has a challenging personality. Dad, Mrs. Lone inhaled deeply. Have you had a chance to meet his son yet? Did he cause you any trouble? Yes or no, the woman also asked. Is that boy shy, attractive, or adorable? Mrs. Lone grinned as she saw the man's face in front of her. Do you love your father or your son? The woman asked with a smile. The other face, what about it? I heard the woman ask, and Mrs. Lone responded to the middle-aged man with a smile. I love my son, but I also like my father. I don't know how that boy is, but I just want my daughter to be happy, said Mrs. Lone, grinning once more as she shook her head. I brought my son here to eat on Sunday so I could check my daughter's eyes and see if she looked good. Her parents only know how to shake their heads and smile. Mom glanced at Mrs. Lone and gently placed a piece of meat in her mouth. Lone kept eating, occasionally grinning and staring at Mrs. Lone in that manner. I went down to the living room after taking a bath to find my father using the laptop and sipping coffee. I returned to my father, but he was unaware of it. Have you eaten yet, Dad? When I asked my father, I heard him nod his head in agreement. His eyes were closed and his face was wide open. He hadn't noticed the baby sleeping so soundly. 3 days of sleep isn't good, though. Let's get dinner together, Dad. My father picked up the laptop, got up, and I followed him back to the kitchen. We opened the food tray, and when the skin was ready, we sat down to eat. My father asked me if I wanted to go somewhere on Sunday while we were eating. I went out to play with my father. I nodded in response to my father's question, saying, yes, I'm old too, or, buy me a motorbike so I can go back for convenience. My father has been taking me to school for many years, and since I don't go out much, he will pick me up if needed. As a result, I don't need a motorcycle, but now that I do, I occasionally go somewhere for convenience, and I don't bother my father as much. My father nodded when he heard that, saying, yeah, all right, I'll take you shopping tomorrow. I'm old enough to learn by driving. After he finished nodding, my father carried on eating. He had a phone with him, but he didn't answer, so I knew who it was. Hi, I'm listening. It's Sunday today, and I instructed you to bring Nam here so she could meet my parents. Yes, she said with a smile and a nod, but I'm concerned about my parents' approval. When I heard my father say that, I turned to face him. His expression was a little embarrassed, and he told me that he was a little worried. I nodded, acknowledging that, at 50, this was the first time I had ever seen my parents in that manner. Don't worry, my parents are very laid back and primarily consider your attitude, whether you express it or not. my father nodded when she let out a loud laugh. Nom, is he all right? I'm sitting here eating, and he's all right. I'm sitting here eating, and he's all right. Yes, he's all right. I noticed Lynn asked, what would you like to say to your son? My father asked me to wait, so I did. After a long moment of thinking, he said, no, you don't go anywhere. You can go, what are you going to do there? I let him down to look at him and waited for him to breathe before saying, you and your father go to Mrs. Lone's house tomorrow. I nodded. My father continued, then you go to Grandma's house, buy a car tomorrow. My father nodded, still nodded not to go, said no. My father breathed for a long time. I was like that, I didn't like not to go, no one forced me, nodded, broke his tongue, that's all. I and my father ate rice, then cleaned up the rice cooker, finished cleaning. My father went to work, and I went to the computer room to play. As soon as I opened it, the text message of the guy texted to play or not, you don't play anywhere, I'm very tired. After refusing, I crawled out of bed and fell asleep, woke up after a good night's sleep, but the clock was past 8 a.m., I rolled down to bed, spread out the blanket for the light to shine in, the scene was very quiet, the window was slightly open, a cold wind blew in, the cold wind made me a little nervous, closed the door, I packed my pajamas and went to the bathroom to personal hygiene. While cleaning, I brushed my teeth. My father's voice came out, Cham, wake up, it's late, go down to breakfast, and go to the car. Yes, I went down right away, I answered and continued brushing my teeth. Personal hygiene. I went to the closet, although it was quite cold, I still liked to wear black-brown with a thin white shirt inside. Looking in the mirror, I was really handsome. I took off my coat and went down to the house. My father was sitting at the table waiting. Today my father cooked beef pho, not a compliment. My father cooked pho with porridge, then the restaurant had to pay the money back. Sit down to eat, my father said. I shook my head, but then suddenly my dad mentioned that the woman in my head suddenly appeared with a beautiful smile. I closed my eyes as she shook her head. I heard my dad shout, have you been waiting long, as the car came to a stop. You're not in the house, why? You are picked up by you. I thought, hey, you're old, but you still care so much, in reference to my dad's lack of concern. Don't be late, I just got out. Let's go. She opened the car door next to me after she was done. I took a seat in the center and faced the opposite way. Dad got behind the wheel. A soft scent of incense filled my nostrils. My face began to warm up a bit, apart from a very happy smile. What else did my mother say? I picked up what had touched my mother and put it down because I was so depressed. I had no idea it was a mess. Lone's arm. Her eyes gave me a slight sensation, and her arm was incredibly soft. My heart was pounding wildly. What sort of boy is this bashful? How do I dispose of this? Even so, Ms. Lone prodded my cheek and remarked cynically, the hotter I am, the more boring you are to me. The first thing she said was, are you feeling better? Are you worn out? Which vehicle will you purchase? I closed my eyes and said, I'm fine, I don't know, in response to a series of questions posed by Ms. Lone, visit the store, pick out a gorgeous car, and then purchase it. I doubt I have a lot of money for a car. My son is still very tall, even though he is now riding a new handcart. You will die if you ride a handcart. Her voice returned to its sarcastic tone. My dad looked down, grinned, and sat on it. He couldn't take his eyes off his girlfriend. Yes, he is free to do as he pleases. My father let out a loud laugh. I kissed her and walked away from my dad. Ms. Lone did, however, touch my hand. You did that, but why? I replied, I'll come to your house and buy that handcart later. I waited while I stared into Ms. Lone's eyes as she finished speaking. I'm not going anywhere, so come on. You can accompany your father home, I responded without giving it much thought. Ms. Lone lowered her gaze. She shook my hand because she had a lover's face. It's all right, come on. Let's eat. Let's head home after that. She shook my hand, I see. I looked into her large eyes. Both her lips and her hair were long, I was perplexed at the time. Why is she so beautiful? Then I felt a sudden push. My hand touched her sideburns, her eyes were startled as she gazed at me. I turned red. I nodded and shook my hand, she had a radiant smile. I simply took a close look. I noticed that she has on a black leather skirt. In addition, there is a black leather shirt outside and a high-waisted linen shirt inside. A very stylish way for young people to dress. She simply smiled and held my hand the entire time. She would occasionally chastise me with a few words that caused me to slightly close my eyes. I didn't care because it wasn't quiet. I wasn't even angry. At a large Honda automobile company, I rebuilt it. 3 entered. A rather youthful employee greeted them. Yes, hi. I'm not sure how I can assist you. My dad answered right away. Oh, he said with a smile, I want to buy you a motorbike. The motorcycle merely transports you to observe. What is your favorite? That's what my dad said. The worker grinned as she glanced at me. Yes, I suppose. Follow me, please. The worker turned away after saying that. She drew me away after shaking her hand. I had a rather unimpressive face, because she looked stunning in a suit. Some of the men in the store gave her a slow look as a result. She simply nodded, she pointed while holding my hand. Together, the two of you look stunning. As soon as she saw that, the employee said something that made me red in the face. I feel the same way, Ms. Lewan said with a smile that was closer to me. Right now, I am genuinely powerless. However, the staff member escorted me and Ms. Lewan around for a while before returning to inquire, indeed. I'm not sure which vehicle you selected. Are you fond of it? The worker inquired. The shape is still up in the air. Get me the SH-150 white one over there, Ms. Lewan said. Acquire that one. Ms. Lewan concluded her discussion of the motorcycle on display in the corner. I turned to face her. Hey, do you like this motorbike? She asked, drawing me closer to the bike. It used to be lovely, but not anymore. Ms. Lewan returned to sit on the motorcycle, she said. She had very long legs, to be honest. Seated like a car model on the motorcycle, so lovely. I was a little bashful. Because I instinctively thought I had seen this scene before, a bit recognizable. Ms. Lewan smiled as she gave me a look. My eyes blinked. When I pulled it out, I realized it had been 2 months. I attended the reunion of my class. Initially, I didn't go, however, Ms. Lewan was in command. One person will lose his joy, she said. In addition, Mr. Xian ascended and descended. I ate dinner with the students. Ms. Lewan then departed. Up until nearly 11 o'clock in the evening. We got into another argument. I crossed a rather broad street. There, I then met a girl who had been struck by a car. It was visible as I drew nearer. The girl had on a black skin suit. She wore a protective hat that obscured her face. I glanced at my feet. When he returned, Mr. Xian inquired, "Are you okay?" The girl said, her face was wrinkled, and embraced her feet. "I think I'm having a cramp. The car was pushed up when I fell. I can't stand up because it hurts so much." The girl sobbed as she spoke. I remained silent. I returned and held her feet tenderly. "We'll see. Remove your athletic footwear. Observe the large, swollen ankle." I felt a little unsteady. The girl let out a painful scream. "What's behind you?" I asked, glancing at the girl. The girl instinctively turned around. I took a broken leg at the time. The girl let out a loud cry and screamed, "I'll be fine when I get home tomorrow," I asked her. The girl continued to look at me and cry. I gave the girl a quick smile as well. I then assisted her with the vehicle. After thanking me and Xian, the girl climbed into the car and bowed her head. After that, she departed. I am now reliving that memory. That night, the girl turned out to be Ms. Lone. When I see her again, is it fate? I'm not sure why, but I smiled and bowed my head to check if I remembered when those memories returned to me. She was also very pale. She returned to me on foot. Closed my hand over her lovely face, small talk. You looked very good that day. She then gave me a gentle cheek kiss, which made me choke. I blushed when I heard her breath. She dragged me back to my father's house after laughing. The SH Gear car's driver, I only mentioned the SH Gear car's direction at that corner when I was done speaking. My dad immediately bowed his head. Indeed, this vehicle is stunning, leave the paperwork to your father. You simply exit the vehicle first. I went to Ms. Lone's house after my father finished. After he was done, my father went directly to the paperwork staff desk. Ms. Lone and I then exited the vehicle. Take a seat on the vehicle. I gave Ms. Lone a small smile as I looked at her. I can't believe you helped her again that day. After listening to me, Ms. Lone grinned and gestured to her feet. Hello, hello. Your feet continue to hurt occasionally even after 2 months. You are lucky to have a child. I'm at a loss for what to do. At the time, it hurt a lot. After saying that, someone scratched her face. My heart ached all over again. You have to see a doctor if it hurts too much, she said as she returned home. I took a quick look. Her feet were a little sore at the time. A high sprain occurred, and the following morning was excruciating. I believed it was gone. After saying that, someone scratched her face. She had tears in her eyes. I turned to ask her without saying anything, is it close to being the first time I've seen your grandchild? I questioned her. She had a somewhat natural face. She gave a nod. No, not at all. Just a little. In addition, I adore you because I heard my father speak of you in that way. You have my undying love. Ms. Lone spoke quickly before meeting my eyes. You didn't say anything incorrect, I know that, because you gazed at me with love in your eyes. Or you had just a father and a friend 6 years ago. I assumed your life would be very depressing, Chow said, so I turned to look outside and carried on. I hope you'll never have to experience sadness again. I apologize, though, as I am unable to call you mom, because I haven't received a call from her in 6 years. After saying that, I started to cry a little. Those tears were wiped away by a soft hand. Let her be looked after from now on. I cherish you. Don't let everything bring you down, tell her about it, please. She wishes Chow would never stop grinning. Because she will be the only one to see her smile, warm, active, and compassionate. After saying that, Ms. Lone firmly grasped my hand. I grinned and closed my eyes. Perhaps I am loved by God. Bring me a mom. A sister who genuinely loves me. I hope that my sadness won't return. Because one time is enough. My father eventually said. The procedure was done. As he got out of the car was moved to the house at 15 in the afternoon. The vehicle pulled up to Ms. Lone's residence. I was also a little anxious on my car, because I was unsure if my father would be accepted by Ms. Lone's parents. Ms. Lone is stunning. The home is affluent. In addition, my father is a typical director of a business. He has aged once more. Even though he appears to be in his middle years, I still find time to be boring. Additionally, will Ms. Lone's parents agree to let the girl wed an elderly man and have a child of her own? I close my eyes and let my mind wander. I want my dad to be content. Due to the fact that my father has endured hardship for nearly half of his life. At a big gate, the vehicle came to a stop. I instantly thought of the royal gate when I looked at the gate. She has very lovely skin, as well as her eyewear. I took my hand off the car right away. She gave me a cheerful look and held up her hand to my dad. My father, on the other hand, was toting a bag or something. I'm not sure. A middle-aged woman in her 40s opened the gate after twice ringing the doorbell. He grinned when he saw my father with Ms. Lone. Indeed, the mistress is waiting for you and your grandson to enter the house. My dad went straight inside, bowing his head. I simply passed by and watched. Nothing can be denied, I must say. Even my house isn't a nail. The noise reverberated throughout the guest room. A huge wooden chair sits in the center of the guest room. two individuals are seated there, the man ought to appear respectable. He must be older than 60. Additionally, the woman is probably younger than I realize, about 50. The woman gave my father a quick glance before turning to smile at me. She gave me a smile. She breathed lightly, too. My father arrived at this point. Yes, uncle, hello. A little bashful, the middle-aged man said, "Hey, you, Mr. Min, you call me that even though I'm a few years older than you. I'm afraid I'm getting old." My father was shivering, the man said without speaking. I gave my father a small pat on the back to encourage him. My dad also calmed down over time. The woman turned to face me at this point. "I'm going to cook in the kitchen, Lon." The voice of this woman is very soft. I get it. She turned to smile at my father after grinning at me. And then she averted her gaze. My father straightened up at this point and said, "Yes, uncle, I have a delicacy for you. I'd like to share something with you as well." After placing the bag on the table, my father turned to face me. Grinning, the middle-aged man gestured to the chair across from him. "We're just kidding, come on. Sit down, Dad. Speak slowly if you have anything to say." My father started to say, "Yes, uncle," with seriousness as soon as we placed the bag on the table. Being able to get to know Lon is truly fortunate. She agreed to take care of me. It's a very joyful thing. Additionally, I am aware that Lon deserves a better husband than I do. I have frequently been self-centered. However, I heard Lon say, "You are sure that you can make people happy?" I'm hoping you'll believe me. When I grew up, I was surprised, my father said. My father's remarks were a little corny, so I was a little taken aback. My father is sweet, though, I must say. He prevented me from saying even a single word. My parents smiled as they turned to face my father. "You simply take a seat." I agreed to meet you with my wife. Naturally, we came to an agreement. Lon should lead a happy life, according to my wife and I. We are parents, who wouldn't want their kids to live happy, fulfilling lives? Uncle, correct? My mother smiled as she glanced at my father. My father felt less anxious after hearing her soft voice. "I only hope you are kind to her. She has been a little stubborn since she was a child. But she's all my wife has. She thus accepts everything. I now turn that duty over to you." My father grinned after saying that. My dad was pleased, too. To make sure he would love Lon, he was serious. He prevented her from feeling depressed or unhappy. I took a seat beside him and listened in silence. I was pleased for my father as well. Mom yelled, "Are you a boy? Compared to your father, you are more attractive. Which grade are you currently in?" As soon as I heard Lan's mother ask, I said, "Yes, I am in grade 12 this year." "Oh, did you figure out what you want to do for a living?" After a moment of hesitation, I said, "Yes, I want to learn how to manage my father's business," in response to Lan's mother's question. Lan's father grinned when he saw my response. "Excellent, young people must be able to conduct business. After my child had a stable life," I heard that and nodded. Just then, Lan's voice came from beneath the house. "The food is ready, yes. I asked my family to join me for dinner." This girl," Lan's mother said, nodding in agreement. My father and Lan's father discussed Lon and me over the dinner. Embarrassing Lon. I remained silent as well. I was occasionally fed by Lan's mother as well. Lon continued to feed me. I gave a sour smile. The meal passed with joy. At the table, my father and Lan's father had a private conversation. "Sip on some water." "Indeed, sir." "If so, your parents must be present to discuss this. However, your parents have left. I therefore came here to ask Lon to marry me. And I hope the two of you will decide on a suitable day for my marriage." My dad concluded his statement. However, Lan's dad gave a nod. "This is how my wife and I are." "That's it, you're already old, let's keep it brief. You two sign up to get married. Prepare food for your forefathers. That's all. What are your thoughts?" "Indeed, sir. My dad gave a joyful nod. After a long conversation, my father asked if he could leave for home. 2 o'clock in the afternoon had already arrived. My father and Lan's mother also picked a suitable day for them to return home the following day. My father was very happy that day. It was odd, though, that my father smiled when I was happy too. Lan only held my hand during our family photo. She did not hold my father's hand. My father and my life now have a new member. In addition, Lan is my stepmother. My father was very happy every day. He had a constant smile. That's it, indeed. You are really lovely. Who wouldn't want to wed a stunning woman? I was pleased to see a contented family. It was short-lived, though. I lost self-control in an instant. My father and I went to Lan's house on that particular day. My aunt and I cleaned the dishes in the back of the kitchen after supper. The tale had a long history. It appeared that the two hearts were in unison. When did that occur? Naturally, to give birth to the future husband's own child. Exactly in a vacant kitchen area. People are still talking endlessly at home right now. I realize that it still annoys me a lot now that we share a home. However, I am unable to say it and do not have the opportunity to do so. We are simply beyond our imagination at this point. My heart's fire is still burning. All I'm waiting for is the ideal moment to make love. This concludes our story, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to inform us by leaving a comment. And now, goodbye to all of you. See you in the upcoming episode.